Hi everyone, thanks for joining today. My name is Jen and I'm from Jen's Knitting Corner. This is my debut video for this blog and I'm super excited to go over everything with you. So today we are talking about different types of knitting needles and different types of loom sets and different types of arm knitting stuff for material stuff. So let's get into it, okay? Okay, so here we go. We have our standard knitting needles. And some of these you can see are super tiny, like these 2s and these 1s. These are for all of your finer projects that you have, so anything like socks, anything like dishcloths, anything with a thinner weight yarn, you'll be dealing mostly with this. Whereas some of these bigger knitting needles, you're going to be dealing a lot more with different projects and bulkier yarn. And we'll get in a little bit to that later. But just to know that these are standard knitting needles and they basically don't have any give. Like if I try to bend this, it's not bending, nothing's going anywhere. It's pretty stable. Some of the things you can have, some of them are like these metal. Otherwise you can have wood metals. That's also popular, but usually these are pretty durable as well as the wooden ones. So that's one of your options. You can basically find them anywhere. However, I really like this because these are interchangeable knitting needles. So as you can see, normally I have like this on here, and I actually broke this one. It's supposed to, these brown ones are like this one, but it just broke. And what you can see is this needle has like a little end that you can screw in right here, and then this goes through this top hole somewhere in there, and that's how you lock it in so that these don't move. And the nice thing is that this is like the same material as this, except down here it's interchangeable, and it gives it a little bit more of a flex and a give, so it's not as hard on your hands when you're knitting with these. So I recommend starting with these, and then once you get a little bit more into knitting, I definitely recommend this set with all these interchangeable heads. So as you can see, they go from pretty fine all the way on up to these thicker ones. So that's pretty cool. I really like this. This is from Knit Picks. They have some really good sets, and I think it's only about $50, but think of it, like you get a bunch of these cables, a couple of these locks, and all of these different types of knitting needles. So it's worth it compared to just spending like, I don't know, 5 or 6 just on this. So then over here, here's my loom set, and this is what has come in my loom set. I have 4 looms, different colors. Most of the time you're going to work with these outer 2. Ever so rarely are you going to do any projects with these inner ones unless you're making hats for small children or tiny infants. And the nice thing about loom knitting is that it's pretty accessible to all generations, and especially the younger generation. We're starting to get more into this type of knitting. And the nice thing is I'll show you this one. There's these little grooves. So you wrap the yarn around, and there's usually 2 sections of yarn. So there's like one whole row around the circle down here, and then there's a whole nother set of stitches up here. And you usually take this tool, this little hook, and you take the bottom one and you flip it over the top one and on the other side. So I would go here, this is very hard to do. Here you go up, over, and I go around the circle. And I really like the loom knitting, especially for all circular projects. So any hats I do and any infinity scarves, I now do with the loom knitting. I used to be starting to figure out how I could do this with knitting needles, but now I've been a convert and I'm now into the loom knitting. You'll also get this needle. I definitely thought I should throw this away, but don't, because this is actually very important to like bind off your material. So hook, you get the hook, 4 looms, and this lovely plastic needle or thread, needle, whatever you want to call it. And this is all included in your loom set. And then there's arm knitting. The best part about arm knitting, you just need your arms, woo! So it does have a little bit like thicker yarn compared to some of like my finer yarns, like for my hat. You can see this is pretty thin compared to anything for arm knitting. So arm knitting is going to require bulkier yarn, and it does have a little bit more of an open spaces in between those stitches because you're using your arms. So there's the different types. So you have standard knitting needles, and then you have the knit picks, interchangeable ones, and then your loom knitting set. So that's basically all you really need, are those different types of materials for those different projects. Now know that with those interchangeable ones, again, I would just wait off and hold off until you're really serious about knitting, and then go into that interchangeable set, because then it will be worth it and you'll know it'll be worth it. Another thing I forgot to point out is that when you buy a pair of needles, so 2 needles, it's just that pair. So if you need a size 8, which we'll get into the sizing all later, don't worry about it. If you need needle size 8, that's all you get. Whereas that interchangeable set, you get like sizes 5 to 11. So I think that's really nice for later down the road, so you're not constantly going, oh no, this project needs this specific type of needle, gotta go get that needle, and whatnot. Also, I just want to let you know how this kind of will work. I'm planning to link everything that I have in the blog so that you have resources. That's a big thing that I think people who are starting to knit don't have, are resources. So my goal for this blog is to have resources and link what I have and answer any questions that you have. Because if you didn't read my About Me section, I'm a teacher. So I really like to help people and to do whatever I can. So if you have problems later on with projects or anything like that, definitely reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help. So I hope this first video rocked, and I'll see you later for some more videos.